Tonight, a man is dead after bullets fly in East York this afternoon.
The two males were targeted, and there are some gang activity involved in this investigation, yes.
The shooting just hours after the police chief again tried to address concerns about gun violence. Plus,
parents are distraught, the workers are distraught.
Parents left in the lurch after a North York daycare closes with only a day's notice. And one of the most anticipated events of the summer is in full swing. We'll take you to the 26th annual Taste of the Danforth. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. A 29-year-old man is dead tonight. Another is recovering in hospital after a targeted shooting in East York. This violence comes just hours after the chief of police told reporters the recent spike in shootings is mostly linked to gangs. Our Adrian Chung is live for us at the scene near Wakanda Place and O'Connor Drive. And Adrian, police just gave an update a short while ago and gave us an update on the two suspects on the loose.
That's right, Chris. These two suspects arrived here on Parma Court just after 2 p.m. and they started firing. The two victims were having lunch at a parkette nearby when they started running for their lives. One of them was killed. That victim is confirmed to be 29-year-old Kevin Reddick. It's believed that his family lives here on Parma Court. The second victim was also shot, and he will survive his injuries, police say, but they will not release his identity. But they do say that he's an acquaintance and a friend to Reddick. Now, no weapons in this case have been recovered, but a vital piece that police confirmed as well. They believed that this is a targeted shooting. They say that there is a clear connection here to street gang activity in this neighborhood. Here's what the detective sergeant had to say when we asked about what kind of tips that he's been getting from the neighborhood.
We have great surveillance video here. It doesn't mean that we're going to not continue to work. Again, I'm going to make the appeal to the public that we do need members of the community to come forward, and we need their assistance.
Adrian, with so many shootings in the past few days, many people are on high alert right now. And even at that press conference tonight, a woman interrupted the detective. What did she have to say?
Yeah, that's right, Chris. You really rarely see this in the many cases that we cover. And this resident says that she was among one of the first people to call 911 when she first heard the shot. She said about 10 gunshots, and that she says that the officers here on scene got their facts wrong when it came to response time, that it took too long for officers to get here. And she certainly had a lot to say when she got in front of these officers.
It was more likely 15, and the rest came about 20 minutes later. Also, when the ambulance was coming, it started to back up and go around the block. I had to flag profusely to get the ambulance to come through the neighborhood, because if they would have went around the block, that would have taken a whole lot of more time. So I was pretty disappointed.
Now, Toronto Police tweeted a response to this kind of criticism. They looked into their call logs and they said that the first 911 call came at 2:16 p.m. Then they had an officer on the scene at 2:20 p.m. That's 4 minutes later. Now, more than anything, that exchange between the police officer and the resident gives you a sense of the anger that's in this neighborhood, and at least the perception that they feel like their cases aren't being taken seriously here, Chris. I'll send it back to you.
And the anxiety as well. Thanks for this tonight, Adrian. So we've seen roughly 24 shootings in the city just in the last week, and that's putting a lot of pressure on the police chief and the government to act. Ali Chiasson picks up that part of the story for us tonight.
The tally keeps ticking. As of today, there have been over 24 shootings in August, 23 people suffering gunshot wounds. In 11 cases, no victim was found at the scene, just shell casings, and 2 deaths, including a 16-year-old boy.
This recent gun activity, these shootings that have happened over the past 10 days, by and large, have street gang connotations to them or are street gang related.
Bad guys shooting bad guys, the chief says. Some arrests have been made, guns seized, but not enough to make a dent.
The expectations are that we're going to arrest ourselves out of this. We simply are not.
And a revolving door bail system, he says, isn't helping. Right now, there are 326 people out on bail with gun charges against them.
That is unbelievable.
Evelyn Fox lost her son Kissinger to gun violence in 2016. The back-to-back shootings this week in Scarborough happened 5 minutes from her house.
For some of us, it really does not feel like a safe city. We are terrified to let our surviving children know.
She says families like hers are being re-traumatized with every shooting.
Like, I watched my son die from a bullet wound, and I'll never forget that. And it literally plays in your head over and over and over again, and you just wonder, like, why my son? Out of everybody there, why my son? And it literally makes you feel like you're going crazy.
With this afternoon's shooting, that adds another Toronto family grieving.
Our justice system is failing us. Our justice system does not care about the victims. They cater more to the perpetrators and do not care about the victims. That's horrible.
Today, the police chief said he'd like the bail laws to change, but they're federal.
If we had an opportunity of making some sort of amendment or some sort of understanding in the courts, because you can be sitting court in Toronto, but your bar, your benchmark is on what's going on in Canada.
We asked Minister of Border Security and Organized Crime Reduction, Bill Blair, about the federal bail laws. And he said in a statement, quote, where an individual is released on bail, the releasing judge is required to impose a condition preventing possession of a firearm. If the accused person breaches that term, the Crown can seek to revoke bail. And as always, individual determinations of bail are left to the court. No mention of any changes that can be made, given the very special circumstance that Toronto is in right now with its gun and gang issue. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
The chief also provided updates on several shooting investigations. Police made 3 arrests in a Monday shooting near Lombard and Church. Police say around 4 Monday morning, a car pulled up to a group. That's when there was an exchange of gunfire. Police located 2 victims and a firearm at the scene, and officers are still looking for one outstanding suspect, 27-year-old Hassan Hassan. If you see him, don't approach him, but call police immediately. Police also made an arrest and recovered a firearm in a Sunday shooting. It's now being investigated as part of a robbery. It happened on the Bridle Path at about 6 a.m. outside a multi-million-dollar home rented out on Airbnb. Paramedics transported 1 victim. 2 suspects are still outstanding. Parents in North York were sent scrambling this morning when they arrived at Willowbrae Academy to drop their kids off. They found out the daycare would be closing its doors at the end of the day. Greg Ross has more on the shutdown in an already overcrowded daycare system.
Parents are distraught. The workers are distraught.
Many parents only found out that Willowbrae Academy was closing its doors when they dropped their kids off this morning.
I have a toddler that's in there right now on her last day and has no idea about it. And all the workers are crying. I mean, it's terrible.
It's shocking because our kid is pretty settled here and she loves the teachers and she has friends, and suddenly we have to search something next Monday, so it's not easy. Not for us, not for our kid.
The daycare actually emailed parents yesterday afternoon, letting them know their landlord was going to be repairing the roof. As a result, they would no longer have access to their playground, and because government regulations require them to have outdoor space, they say they had no choice but to shut down.
It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens more often than you would think.
Martha Friendly is the executive director of the Child Care Resource and Research Unit. She says the unfortunate part is parents have no recourse.
It's merely a private business, and there's nothing to really safeguard any kind of parents' rights. There's no entitlement. They don't have any kind of, I could see that the center is offering them a refund, fine, but they don't have childcare anymore.
And it's unlikely they'll be able to have a new daycare provider by the start of the workday Monday.
We gotta look for another daycare and meanwhile make some other arrangements. It's not that in the city you find a daycare right away.
I'm sure every place around here you gotta stay in the waiting list, 5 months, 6 months. That's the thing.
In the email the daycare sent to parents, they claim to have only learned about the building repairs on Wednesday, but many parents found that hard to believe.
They should at least let us know like 5-6 months before that. We're like, devastated.
Friendly says more government regulation of the daycare system could prevent this.
It needs to be accepted as a much more public responsibility and not just a regulated private operation with public, a little public money.
We reached out to the owners of the daycare as well as representatives for the landlord, but did not hear back. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Time now for a first look at your weather forecast. And Colette, it was a nice night tonight. What are we going to wake up to tomorrow?
Yeah, well, we're looking at some nice conditions again. I don't know if you happen to notice, but, the air mass feels a little bit better out there. We don't have the humidity, and also part of it is the breeze that we're seeing, but the direction it's coming from. So we've had these west to northwesterly winds, a little bit gusty at times through the day today, and through the overnight we're going to find those getting a little bit lighter. They'll ramp up a bit towards tomorrow afternoon, evening, but not like they've been today, so they won't be as gusty, but still seeing it coming from kind of a cooler direction. Now, there could be an isolated sprinkle through the overnight, but primarily we're looking at sunshine with some building cloud tomorrow afternoon. But then once again, into the afternoon hours, much like today, an isolated shower, maybe to the north, could be a little towards the east. You could just get a bit of a sprinkle or a downpour come through, but it should be very, very short-lived. It's into Sunday, late day. We see the clouds move in, some showers developing, pretty scattered, but into cottage country, and then they'll begin to work their way down, or at least they'll try to. They'll have a better chance as we get into Monday night and Tuesday. Overnight tonight, 14 degrees, pretty close to seasonal, 25 with increasing clouds and a few isolated showers tomorrow. We'll take a look at the warming trend we're going to see this weekend coming up, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Colette.
You got it.
Defying injury and a tough opponent, 19-year-old Bianca Andreescu is on to the semifinals of the Rogers Cup. Andreescu faced former world #1 Karolina Pliskova of the Czech Republic in her quarterfinal match today. The Mississauga native took the first set easily, but Pliskova came back. A late-game thigh injury plagued the hometown favorite, but she never backed down. She is the first Canadian woman to make it this far since 1979, and she'll take on Sophia Kenin from the U.S. in the semis tomorrow. OPA, the Taste of the Danforth, officially kicked off tonight in Greektown.
Every year you got more people looking to have a good time. It's fantastic. We look forward to every year.
It's one of the top food festivals in this city, and for many, the Taste of the Danforth has been a can't-miss culinary event for the last 26 years. What once started with around 5,000 attendees now attracts more than 1.5 million people. The three-day event features food from local vendors, along with free entertainment and a kids' fun zone.
I'm Natalie Danowski. A group of Ryerson engineering students want to build a rocket engine, but Ryerson won't let them, even though up the street, the University of Toronto is doing it. I'll have that story coming up.
A tragic story to tell you about from North York, where a woman is dead after a vehicle hopped the curb and struck her from behind on the sidewalk.
A vehicle was traveling on Finch Avenue East. The vehicle mounted the curb, and in doing so, it struck a pedestrian who was walking along the sidewalk eastbound as well. The force of the impact was very severe, and unfortunately, the pedestrian was killed as a result of the accident.
The deadly impact happened around 10 this morning. The pedestrian was pronounced dead at the scene while the driver was taken to hospital. Police say they're investigating why the vehicle left the road, but they say there's no indication drugs or alcohol were involved. Authorities are asking for witnesses or anyone with video to come forward. At an event in Kitchener today, Premier Doug Ford made headlines by doubling down on his previous comments about a patient who escaped from CAMH. Here he is responding to a reporter who asked whether he regrets calling the man a, quote, nutcase.
I don't regret it at all. The person I was talking about took a meat cleaver and hacked up his roommate. Who does that? And there isn't one person in this room, including yourself, would want him as a neighbor. No one. And it's about time politicians stop hiding behind, podiums and being politically correct. Just imagine if it was your daughter that this animal chopped up.
The patient in question is Jebin Kong, who was found not criminally responsible for killing his roommate with a meat cleaver in 2014. Kong went missing from the Center for Addiction and Mental Health on July 3rd. Ryerson University is tonight being accused of grounding an engineering project. And now a group of students is pushing back. Natalie Nanowski explains the controversy.
These are the fins that basically help with stability during flight.
Balin Moher wanted his rocket to go faster after competing in the U.S.
I kind of saw that a lot of these teams have their own student researched and designed liquid engines, and that's exactly what I wanted to do.
So he created the Ryerson Propulsion Group that would build an engine fueled by ethanol and laughing gas.
We had the meeting and everything was fine, and we had over 100 applicants at the beginning of September. Huge interest in the group.
The team even got outside mentorship from an aerospace engineer who helps Canadian schools like UFT.
These students have gone from winning all the top awards at major international competitions to increasingly getting into more advanced stuff like liquid rocket propulsion.
What I'm learning in university as an aerospace engineer, I'm able to apply it into this team.
But suddenly the group's progress stalled when Ryerson asked them to change their proposal.
They think rocket engine, they think explosion, right? But there are risks in every engineering project, and we are taught as engineers to, assess those risks.
The group says it hasn't heard from the university since April, despite providing the changes the school requested, including providing examples from other universities like Concordia and UBC. When CBC News reached out to Ryerson asking them why they denied the project, the university declined to comment.
The most discouraging thing for me was that even after these students were really diligent and really careful about, pulling in advisors, doing all the work, trying to understand what the risks are and how to deal with them, even that didn't seem to satisfy the university.
Even though the project is grounded for now, the team hopes it will soar in September. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
And if you have a story you'd like us to look into, you can send us an email. That's at torontotips@cbc.ca. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
The Pan American Gliding Championships are on this week. It's happening at a gliding club in Rockton, just west of Hamilton. A longtime glider pilot took CBC Radio's Fresh Air host, Nanaba Duncan, for a ride. Take a look.
Here we go. We are now flying down the runway.
Oh my God!
All right, we're about to touch down. I'm now rounding out. There we go. We're now down on the ground. We're rolling out towards the hangar. I'm now using the wheel brake. I'm very happy we were able to get this flight in the window, the weather window that we were given. That thunderstorm this morning didn't look very promising, but now we've managed to have a really nice flight in between the cells. How was that?
That was amazing.
You gonna come back and do it again?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
And I want to bring all my friends.
Let's get Colette back in here now. And Colette, tomorrow I'm going to a pool party. Have I picked the right day for that?
Can you move it to Sunday?
Oh,
No.
shoot. I don't think I can. Is that
No.
the better day?
No, I'm just kidding. It'll just be a little bit warmer. That's all. It's going to be a pretty nice day. Really slim chance for an isolated shower. We'll get into that. It's a little bit cooler with the winds that we're seeing in the wind direction and this new air mass that's kind of moved in. If we look at the progression, this is from today, this morning, 6 a.m., some of our daytime lows. It was actually 14.5, but we round that up to 15. So those overnight temperatures kind of back to seasonal now. And daytime temperatures by noon, we were at 24 and unofficially a high of 26 degrees. Certainly some warmer air in southwestern Ontario up to 28 in the Windsor region. But a look at what happens. Isolated sprinkle, maybe. I'm not too concerned about that. It's more into the afternoon. And again, I'm not concerned about this, but there might be a spotty shower show up north, a little over towards the east along the shoreline. Just something to know about. Depends where your pool party is in terms of how you're going to do. It's mostly going to be a nice day, just kind of a little cooler, actually. Sort of temperatures where they should be, or a little bit below for this time of year. Into Sunday, a really nice start. Most of the day looking good, and then clouds begin to build in. We'll get into a chance for some scattered showers into cottage country into the later afternoon or early evening hours, and then that works its way down towards the lakeshore as we go into the later evening hours on Sunday. And then we are going to see the pattern sort of repeating as we get into next week. But there'll be building temperatures into Sunday, so it gets warmer Sunday and Monday. I'll show you that in the 5-day. Right now, I want to show you the overnight lows for southwestern Ontario with those clearer conditions and mostly sunny skies tomorrow, high of 28 in Windsor. Nice sleeping conditions overnight when you're seeing lows that look like this, 14 to 15 degrees throughout the GTA. A few areas, Markham, getting a little extra cloud cover pushing through there, but mostly we're seeing mostly clear skies. Isolated shower risk, otherwise mid-20s for our highs with more clouds in the afternoon tomorrow. And then Sunday, as I say, much of the day looking good, a little warmer, 28. Be a little bit of humidity, so it might feel like 30, 31. Still pretty comfortable. Sunday night, that risk of showers still looking good most of Monday, but Monday night, more significant system coming through, and that takes us into Tuesday, Wednesday, where those temperatures start to come down again, and we get into some wet conditions there. You wouldn't want a pool party then.
No, but I would take it either day this weekend.
Yeah, I think you'll do okay.
All right. Thanks, Colette. Have a good weekend.
You too, no problem.
Before we go, with over 1 million people expected at the Taste of the Danforth this weekend, that means road closures. The closures went into effect this morning and will remain in place until Monday at 3 a.m. Danforth Avenue will be closed between Broadview and Jones. Pape will be closed from Lipton to Hazelwood, and Logan will be closed for 1 block north of Danforth. And major portions of Line 1 will be closed this weekend for signal upgrades. On Saturday, the subway will be closed from Bloor-Young Station to Osgood Station until noon. And on Sunday, the closure will shift from King Station to St. Clair West Station. That one will last all day, and shuttle buses will run all weekend long. That's our show for tonight. As we say goodbye, here's another look at the festivities underway at the Taste of the Danforth. Things officially did kick off tonight, and they are expected to pull more than 1 million visitors until Sunday. Have a great night.